going to take a look at an Everly Brothers tune that was, again, one of their really early hits. This was Wake Up Little Susie. Now this has this is a lot more complicated than it seems. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but it's more elaborate than Bye Bye Love and many of their other songs that are very simple, maybe 3 or 4 chord progressions with and follow normal formats and sequences. Now this one has a lot of unusual stuff in it, a couple of different parts. It sort of hints at different keys at different times. Doesn't use any hard chords, except we are going to need to play F's and G's as bars. Well, we don't even really have to. We could play them as little ones and get away with no bar chords in here too. That little part I just played in there could be done with just the partial ones and still have the same effect. So you could get away with no bar chords in this. Otherwise, we're going to use chords out of the key of D and also chords out of the key of A. Now most of those chords are overlap. There are a lot of chords in the key of D that are also in the key of A, but there's one important one in the key of A that gets used in a little section that sounds like it's... Anyhow, we'll talk about all that. Now this song, like a lot of the early hits of the Everly Brothers, was written by the husband and wife songwriting team of Felice and Bodlo Bryant, and they, with these two songs, particularly this one and Bye Bye Love, really helped put the Everly Brothers on the map. They were going to get on the map anyway because of what they were doing with vocal harmony and bringing it into rock and roll. Speaking of which, if you'd like to work on the vocal parts of it, be sure to check out Jim Bruno's site, TotallyVocals.com, where he breaks down, there's a whole little set of Everly Brothers tunes, and he and his friend Frank go through the 2 parts, where I think Jim usually does the higher part, which is Phil's part, and Frank usually does the lower part, which is Don's part. So typically with the Everly Brothers, Don would sing more of the baritone part and Phil would sing the tenor part, being higher, and they would do this usually in thirds, where Don would typically sing the melody and then Phil would sing a third higher. Very cool concept that hadn't really been used in rock and roll till they came along and did it. And then of course, as everybody knows, everybody else followed that plan, the Beatles, and then subsequently the Byrds and the Hollies and everybody else had to do, Simon and Garfunkel, had to do what the Everlys were doing. So yes, they were absolutely pivotal and influential, a crucial part of the sound that really took off in the 60s. So anyway, let me see what else I want to tell you about this. 3 parts to the song. We'll talk about the chord progression, a couple of kind of different ways of playing some of the parts as well. Typical rock strum, and so very simple strumming in this. Play a D chord and just keep this down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now there's a little fill in there that's done different ways by different people at different times, and this is one we'll break this down in big detail, because when you hear it in the introduction, it's an F to G to F done starting on the first beat of the measure. But when it happens later on, when it happens following the line, wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie, wake up, it fits differently. Now the Everlys, that part is very unorthodox, the fact that that same little sequence of chords doesn't happen on the same beats of the measures that it did the first time around. The Everlys in later years, when they would perform this with different bands, got rid of that because it's just, changed it to make it more conventional. Wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie, wake up. Anyhow, so hopefully you notice the difference between those 2 different things. We'll break that down in a segment where I'll take a look at exactly that, because that's one of the real I don't know, neat elements of this song that makes it outside the box. And there's a lot of other stuff, just the order of the parts and the chord sequences that happen in those parts. Okay, coming up we'll talk about the chord progression and the arrangement and the little fills that happen in there and different ways of playing them. The Everly Brothers, Wake Up Little Susie.